Hi there. This morning we are going to be focusing on goal settings. I'm Kevin Ayres, and really pleased to have with me Nick Howes. Hi, Nick.
Good morning, Kevin.
And Nick leads a company called LMI. They are a kind of life coaching, personal development company, and they also run a course for teens called The Making of a Champion. So I thought it'd be fantastic. And Nick's personally helped me in the past with exactly some of the things that he's going to be sharing with you. So I know he knows his stuff. So I thought it'd be great to get Nick on, rather than just listening to me every day, to talk about setting goals, because he's a real expert at this. So obviously, we've been looking at our personal action plan. This is one of the last areas of the personal action plan at the top. That we've got space here for up to 3 goals. Obviously, you can print this out to do more goals, but we're going to be. This is where you could fill in that in your personal action plan. So, Nick, without much further ado, I can see we've got a few people online. Actually, before I hand over to Nick, feel free to ask questions. I will be monitoring the chat. We'll probably deal with most of the questions at the end. If there's anything really pertinent, I will ask Nick during the session. So do feel free. That's why we want to do this as a live session. So make sure if you've got any questions or there's something that doesn't make sense, then do ask questions. We'd love to hear those. Or if you've got any afterwards, feel free to post them, and I'll try and check back with Nick and get him to answer those when he's got a moment. So Nick, over to you.
Great, thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'm so excited to be able to talk about this subject, and of all the things that I get involved with, and working with leaders in large organizations and people running their own businesses, goal setting is possibly the subject that can have the biggest impact. And it's a topic that I didn't learn when I was young, and I really wish I had. And therefore it's one that I'm excited to share some ideas about, and it's one that I can strongly encourage that from today, and you've already had some things around goals, and it's in your personal action plan, is to get good at goal setting, because it can take you places that you didn't think you could get to. And everybody who is achieving great things, whether we see them or not, whether they don't just have to be high profile in the public eye things, but achieving important things in their lives is down to goal setting. It's saying, and this, in essence, goal setting is simply saying, where am I now? Where would I like to be? What would I like to be different? What would I like to be better? And whether that's a skill, I'd like to master a skill. I'd like to be able to type faster so that I can do my essays at school quicker, or I'd like to be more patient, or I'd like to be better at showing empathy, or I'd like to have a better understanding of history. Whatever it can be, goal setting is the means to get there. And so this is why it's such an exciting thing. Let me start with a story. A couple of years ago, I got to meet Sir Chris Hoy, who is at the time, I think he's been surpassed now, but at the time he was Britain's most decorated Olympian. He'd won the most Olympic gold medals for Britain, and it was an event. It wasn't just 2 or 3 people, myself and Chris Hoy. It was a big event, and with Chris Hoy, Sir Chris Hoy, as I must call him. And he told the story of when he was 14 years old, and he was in a cycling club. So he won his gold medals for cycling. And his coach asked all of them, what would you like to be? What's your goal? And the various people said, I'd like to cycle for Scotland, because he was in a small town in Scotland. And various people had various things. And Chris said, I'd like to win Olympic gold medal. Now, at the time, he wasn't even the best cyclist in his age group in that cycling club in a small town in Scotland. But he went on to win multiple gold medals, because what the coach was able to do is say, great. Chris took him aside afterwards and says, if you're serious about this, if that's the goal, then we can work towards it. And it's such an interesting, inspiring story to me that this guy, who wasn't even the best cyclist in his age group in a small town in Scotland, could achieve that. And Chris goes on to tell the story of he would train on Christmas Day just because he knew that nobody else would train on Christmas Day, and that would give him the edge. And so there's those kind of stories. I'm also just as excited about the goal that I set over the weekend, which was to fix the broken window in the shed in our garden that had been smashed by one of my lads kicking a football at it. And this thing of it was getting something done. But also the thing with goals that I want to share as well is it's not just about making progress, getting better at stuff. It's about how life feels. When we set goals, we intend something, we set out to achieve it. We feel great when we achieve it. And it's something kind of psychological about the way the human brain works. There was something published a couple of years ago that said when we book a holiday, for example, we get more benefit from looking forward to the holiday and knowing that it's coming than actually the holiday itself. So when you book something fun to do, book it in advance, because that gives you loads of benefit about the way life feels. It's having a goal that you're working towards and making progress towards it. And one of the great definitions of success, and I'm going to talk a little bit about some foundation definitions around what it means to be successful. And if we had time, and in a lot of our Making of a Champion workshops that we run, we will take a bit of time to say, what does success mean to you? And the definition that we like to share is success is making progress towards achieving things that matter. And so goals are the means to define things that matter to you. It might be spending more time with a grandparent. And then you set that goal, and then you decide that Tuesday night you're going to go around and visit for a cup of tea. And because that was something that mattered, that was a goal that you set. When you do that, not only do you have a great time with that grandparent, they're encouraged, they enjoy it, but you feel good about it. And so this starts to frame how life feels. And so I'm going to just share very, very quickly one picture on the screen here that I think will be interesting one to look at. So success and motivation cycled around your goals. When we want to feel successful, it's good to feel successful. And in an age where so much social media and comparisons with so many others, it's so easy to feel like, oh, I'm not really doing what I should. I'm not as good as this person. I'm not achieving. So success is something, but it's great to feel successful. And when we feel successful, when we achieve success, we feel more motivated, energetic. And what's happening with September Ready Go that I really like is it's about feeling motivated and energetic about life and what comes ahead and going back to school, college, etc. So this really simple picture is just around, if I set a goal, so this middle bit around my goals, personal goals that I set, like fixing the shed window or visiting a grandparent or reading up a bit more about the history module that I'm about to do at school for my A-levels or whatever it might be. When I spend an hour on that I'd intended to do, I can't help but feel successful in some, might just be in a very small way. I feel pleased. I feel quite satisfied. And that energizes me. I feel more motivated to take on the next thing. So I'm going to stop that sharing of the slide there. But this really simple idea, which is why I think goal setting is such a crucial thing to learn, is wherever I am, if I can choose something meaningful that I can intend to do and work towards, when I achieve it, I feel good. I feel, and something good has happened as well. So something good has happened and I feel good. And again, isn't that one of the tragedies of life so often, is people are doing really good things but still feeling terrible. And again, there's all sorts of stuff written about mental health and the challenges, emotional challenges, and all sorts of things like that. And this is not the fix of everything, but it's a way in which we can continually bolster our own mental health as well by setting small goals that when I achieve, I feel that sense of success, and that helps me feel more motivated. And if I'm struggling with motivation in some of the big things, start with some small things. Start with a walk around the block, because that does you physiologically good as well and gets your endorphins going. But also, that was something I intended to do. I went for a 15-minute walk this morning. It's on my list of goals to achieve. I came back, I read some Norwegian because I'm learning Norwegian because my wife is from there. That's one of my goals. And immediately, I'm ticking a couple of things off on my daily goals list, which helps me feel more energized when I come and do this with Kevin and talking to all of you, and then on to the next thing that's on with my day. And so this using of goal setting to create not just the things that we'll achieve, but the way that life feels, I think is one of the things that I'm particularly excited about and think is important to learn. Good. Let me start by, or not start, I've begun. Let me ask you a question. Can you picture getting into a taxi? And again, a lot of these things, I haven't done that for quite a long time now. We've been in lockdown and less travel and all those sorts of things. But perhaps you can imagine with family members, or even you've just seen it on the television or a film, you get into a taxi. What's the first, and Kevin, perhaps I'll ask you this question. What's the first thing the taxi driver will say to you?
Where do you want to go?
Where do you want to go? And can you imagine, typically, because you get into that taxi, you have in mind the destination. I'm going to Waterloo Station because I need to get a or I'm going to Gatwick Airport, or I'm going wherever it is, you know, close to where you may be going. You're getting off a train in the centre of Birmingham, and you want to get a taxi home, wherever it might be. But there's a destination in mind. Can you imagine how confused, and maybe you want to try this just for fun, get into a taxi and the taxi driver says where to, and you go, don't really know, don't mind really. Just or perhaps I'm really busy. Can you just drive? Cover ground, do as much as you can, cover as many miles as you can in the next 20 minutes. That would be great. And the look of confusion, because it would make no sense. And the start, if you think of life like, you know, you're the driver of your own taxi, and it has to start with the question, where are you headed? And you may not be able to answer that perfectly with, this is what life will be in 5 years, this is what life will be in 10 years. But starting to begin, I'd like it to look a bit like this. I'd like it to be full of friends. I'd like good relationships with my family. I would like to do a job that interests me. What kind of things interest me? You're starting to define the where to, and then you can begin to take steps towards those things. And so again, really, really simple things can be part of that. Can I read a book on that? Maybe it's the last few weeks of summer holiday for some. I've got 3 teenagers in my house. A couple of weeks before, looks like they'll probably go back. You know, what's coming up? What are you doing? My daughter, who's be starting A levels, read a book. She's going to be doing psychology. Read a book about psychology. Start to find and then you find I quite enjoyed that actually, because this success is progress towards achieving something meaningful. It's in the where to question is then enabling me to say, well, I'm going to take this road. I'm going to turn left here. I'm going to take steps. I'm going to not
Nick,
go here,
just
but
jump
there.
in there. So, Nick, it's really interesting. So one of the things you started with there is, even if you don't know the destination, you've mentioned some things that you could work on right now in you. And we talked about I did a session about taking 100% responsibility for your life, and about identifying, you know, there's so many things in life that we can't control. There's loads of things that we can control. So like you say, even if we don't know our destination, we know that we probably want to be kinder people. We want to, you know, like you say, maybe you want to learn a language, or so there aren't necessarily, in some ways, they're not big life goals, but there's some things you can start moving on that you can work on right now that are in you, that whatever you end up doing, you know, it'd be a better listener. I was just talking to Nick about one of the things I'm learning at the moment is the importance of telling stories. So no matter what I end up doing next, being able to tell stories is a really powerful way of persuading people, and that's a really amazing life skill. So there are plenty of things that you could set goals around, even if you don't know your final destination, that you could work on right now.
Great. Yeah, I love that, Kevin. Really good. And in one sense, the destination is it can be, so the where to, it can be physically, I want to go from London to Leeds or Edinburgh or something, or I want to become a chartered engineer or whatever it might be. But equally, the destination might be, I want to be a kind of person. I want to be more patient. I want to be a good listener. Then that as well is a destination. It's the definition of success, which has to be rounded. And when we have these conversations about defining success, and on the Making of a Champion course, we say, what is a champion? Is it just somebody that achieves some great thing, or is it about the quality of their character? Is it about the way they interact with others? Is it about the contribution they make to life? And often it's things that go unseen, and those are all, if you like, mini destinations within a bigger destination that you can take steps towards. So I absolutely love that thing around take personal responsibility, because you can then do something with it, but define that. It's so the thing about goal setting that is really important is that clarity of definition enables you to take action. Because if I just generally want to be a better person, a kinder person, I can sort of walk around hoping to be like that, deciding I want to be like. But when I decide with real clarity what that means, I can then take steps towards it and measure it. So, for example, I talk about often comes up in people I'm working with, coaching with, the physical health one. I'd like to be fitter. I'd like to be healthier. I'd like to do more exercise. What does that mean? Let's break that down so you can say, right, what can I be really specific about? Well, I would like to be able to do park run. I'm sure many of you come across park run. It's a 5-kilometer run around a local park that's organised over the country. I'd like to be able to do park run in under 30 minutes. Okay, great. So what can I do today? It's really specific. What can I now do today? I'm going to do a 1 mile really slow run just round the block where I live, and I'm going to do that 3 times a week. Did I do that? I can then have a checklist. Yeah, I've checked it off. I have a checklist of about 10 things that I refer to every day that I'm supposed to do, both work-wise and outside of work, including my walk around the block in the morning, my read a bit of Norwegian, all those things. And they're all steps towards bigger goals. But the definition, if you haven't got the clarity about what you're trying to achieve, it's just an intention, then it's hard to take the step. It's easy to let yourself off the hook and not do the thing that will really help you. So I think the take responsibility, but then define it well enough that today you can say, did I do this or not? Did I, in a conversation, I'm going to be a better listener. Can I review and say, yes, in conversations, I asked at least 2 questions to everybody I spoke to, or at least 3 people I spoke to. So I'm practicing a specific thing. And again, that success motivation loop that we looked at then gets going and drives us on to the next thing. And whilst we talked a lot about small goals, this stuff, then you keep doing it, the goals get bigger and bigger, and then you begin to be able to achieve things that you never would have imagined. And this developing, exploring, and then reaching your potential is all part of this. On our programs that we run, we get people to set a business or a work or study goal and a personal goal, so something that's not work or study or something like that, every 7 days, every week. And we just say, and it's a great thing you could pick up and start doing every week. Can I do something that stretches me, that challenges me, that causes me to grow? And that's again this repetition.
Yeah, just jump in there. So I've just been reading a book that mentioned the idea of the 4%, and so I think one of the parenting challenges, one of the parenting mistakes, if you like, that I make, I think too often, is I get hold of a new idea. I think, it'd be great for my teens to learn that, and I set the challenge way too high, way beyond what they can currently do. And of course they give up and get frustrated, and of course that's a negative feedback loop. And they're saying that if you do it like 4% harder than what you can currently do, It stretches you. That's kind of I mean, define 4%, right? It's a little bit hard to
Yes.
get, but the point is a bit harder than what you currently do. So Tanya's just joking that her team said like 1 mile. What about 1 minute? Well,
yeah,
like to your point. Well, if you do no minutes at the moment, if you did 1 minute, because the hardest bit, as we all know, with exercise is getting out the door. So if you did 1 minute around the block, if you walked, if you crawled it, if you just went out the door with your trainers on, right, you made the first step. That's day one, and it's measurable. Did I go out the front door? Did I have my trainers on? Next day, did I walk for 1 minute? Did I walk for 2 minutes? You know, and you can.
Yeah,
it's still measurable, isn't it? And so it's that 4%. It's like if you don't do any exercise, even running for 1 mile is hard. But you could still go out the door with your trainers on, and it's measurable. Anyway, so
sure.
It doesn't have to be big. To your point, it can be really small, just a little incremental improvement.
Sure, really, really good. It's we talk about this a lot in 4 foundations. Let me share those really quickly. When we do Making of a Champion young person's leadership course, and also we use the same foundations when we're talking to leaders of large organizations in all kinds of different types of businesses and companies and charities, etc. And it really kind of picks up on what you're saying, Kevin. So the first foundation is clear direction. So it's the taxi driver saying where to. Starts with where do I want to get to. The second foundation is why. Why that? So the taxi driver says, you know, why are you going there? And you say it's a concert, it's a family wedding, it's I want to buy something, I'm going home. But the second, so where to and why? Why does that matter? Why is achieving that goal important to me? Good to have that in mind, because that's what gives us the oomph, the motivation to keep on doing it. The third foundation is all about lasting change through repetition. And so this is then getting on to what you're talking about, Kevin, of once I've got a goal and I know that it really matters to me, then it's all about building some structure with repetition, so that 1 minute round the block keeps on happening so many times. And I meet so many people that say, I'm really done with all that goal setting rubbish. I've tried it, it just doesn't work. And usually it's about this third foundation, which is the lasting change and success through repetition and building something so it happens and it keeps on happening. And the problem when you set your stretch too far, let's do 50% better or 100% better, is we go, oh, that's really hard, and I don't do it. Whereas 4% better, 2% better, 1% even, I could do that. If you went into a sales team and said, can you do 1% better? People go, oh yeah, probably. Could you do 1% better in your next French test? Yeah, probably. And you go, okay, then you achieve it. So this building infrastructure so it happens and keeps on happening. And that can be about putting your running shoes in front of your bedroom door so you trip over them every morning, but it helps me to remember I've got to do that. And putting a tick list on front of the fridge, all this kind of repetition stuff. But then the fourth foundation is progress and victories. And that's keeping a log of the victories that I've achieved and the progress that I've made, no matter how big or small. And again, it's a practice that I've adopted. I've even written a couple of things this morning on my progress and victories log that have happened over the weekend that keep me motivated, inspired to review the goals, why they're important, infrastructure to make sure it happens with repetition, and then celebrate what's happened, what's been good, what victories, what progress. And if you put those 4 things together with setting a goal, you'll be on a really, really strong footing. Just go through those one more time with repetition. Clear direction, where to, what does success look like is the first one. The second one is about why that matters. What's the purpose, reason behind it? Third one is all about the lasting success through repetition. And the fourth is record your progress and victories. It's a really, really good thing to do.
I'll just jump in there, Nick. So on here, we talked about the action plan. So what Nick said, you could record a goal there, and if you want to make it something that say it's a daily habit, say it's that running around the block thing, recording them, you can record a streak on your habit tracker. You can make that a habit that you're tracking. You can reward yourself here. You can record some victories. I've done a whole week of that. I'm going to reward myself with something, or ask, twist my parents' arm to reward me. They may well do that. So that's a very visual, easy way to keep track of the habits. And if you haven't checked out the habit one, there's a few extra ideas to build on what Nick's saying about how do you make those habits even easier. And actually, when you form a habit, day one, it is really hard. And that's what, so a habit is when it's only about 5% of the effort, and it's actually really, really easy. And it's like there's loads of things you can do in that month to make the whole process easier as well. So make sure you check out the habit session as well.
Yeah,
sorry, Nick.
No, exactly what I've been talking about is what you've got with this personal action plan. I really like what's been produced here, because it's a structure, it's infrastructure to help you keep on doing the things that you want to do. And again, this is one of the problems people have with goal setting sometimes, is they feel that they're expected to do certain things and set certain goals and achieve certain, and it just doesn't do it for them. And goals have to be incredibly personal. So talking to students at schools, for example, where actually I've done quite a lot, the school wants you to achieve well and pass your exams, your parents want you to achieve well and all that. But really, for goal setting really to kick in, it's got to be something I really want to do. This matters to me. So the second, what I want is foundation number one. Foundation number two, this matters to me because it's all about why it matters. And then you've got here with the goals sections on the action plan, and also the habit section is a means to build the infrastructure so that what you're going to do happens and keeps on happening. Because we've all tried stuff. We've started for a week, started well, then stopped, and then we feel a bit bad, and it's harder to start again. So it's better to start fewer goals, work on fewer things, but be really committed to master it. It's okay to decide after a while, I don't want to do that anymore, but it's because you make a good quality choice rather than I wanted to do it, I just stopped. So really love what's there in the action plan. Just the simplicity of it. What's in the goals section? What's the goal? How am I going to measure it? 3 steps to getting there. Who will I tell? It's really important. Kevin and I were talking just before we started about the thing of who should you tell. There's definitely something, if somebody else knows about your commitment, if you've gone public with it, then that's really good. I'm part of a group and we've gone public with our exercise goals. And there's a group that we have on the exercise tracking app. And I know if I don't run the 8 miles a week that on average I've attempted to run, 6 other people know about it, and it motivates me tremendously. Just on that Thursday evening, I was thinking, I'm just going to sit down, watch the tape. No, I've got another 2 miles to do this week. Out I go, and it helps. Choose the right people, of course, but the target date, having it again, all of these things are about helping you to be specific rather than general, and then use the habits to support you to achieve your goals.
Alison said here she really likes the idea of the log of achievements. She says it's hard to answer the question, what do you feel you've achieved this year? But with a log, it's all there to reflect on. Actually, that just to say that's I don't think we've kept a log per se, but because we are my wife's a photographer, I'm big into photography. The kids have both got iPhones, and so we take a lot of pictures in our family. What we've found really helpful, we go off at the start of each year, and we go to a hotel and we have like high tea, like posh sandwiches. It's quite a nice hotel. We treat ourselves to sort of posh sandwiches, and we get everyone to do a little presentation about their year. And often they can do it however they like. They could just talk, but often we go through our photos and remind ourselves all the cool stuff we did that year. So it's not quite what you're saying, but it's just kind of down the same track. And to keep track of your goals, a really easy way to do it could be just to take a photo of you achieving that goal, or you write on a piece of paper goal, take a photo, and your iPhone then will keep a record of everything for you. You whiz back through them, and you easily create a little video, slideshow. The iPhone will do that for you. You've got something really nice. You go, oh, wow, look at all the cool stuff we did this year. And you kind of forget. And you look at it and think, wow, it's amazing. It puts a bit of music, gets some emotions going, and then we just look back at all the cool stuff we did, and we share it with the members of our family. So that's something I'd really recommend. Don't do it at home, because it's too distracting. Go and reward yourself with a nice meal, or somewhere like a hotel lobby where you can sort of spread out a little bit, grab a table and set your laptop up, and it's not too weird. You know, like a restaurant, that might be a little bit weird, but hotel lobby, lots of people are doing that sort of thing anyway. So that's what we found works. That's just a little tip there.
Yeah, great.
Nick, sorry, back to you.
And simple stuff as well. Just the practice of having I use Evernote for keeping all my notes and things, but you can use notes section on your phone or just a Word document on your computer. And I would say it's, again, one of the most crucial things. And it's also one of the things that people I've worked with on goals resist the most, but benefit from the most once they get there, is just this progress and victories log. In fact, when I have team meetings and we do our LMI team meeting on a Monday lunchtime, so I'll host that at 12:30 today, I always start with progress and victories. And everybody in the meeting just gives an update, progress, victories, things that have been good, things they've achieved, good feedback from people they're working with. And it creates a great environment. Why would we possibly not want to do that? Because it's we don't like to blow our own trumpet. We like to be kind of, and it's not about being proud, but it's just about recognizing these are good things that are happening. So again, this whole goal setting arena is about achieving things, getting better at stuff, making the world a better place, make a goal to build community spirit in your neighborhood. You know, that's a great goal. But it's achieving goals to achieve things and get better at stuff are really important. But it's also creates our inner environment, our own mental framework by which we experience life. And again, you know, there's so much study around it. If a child grows up being told, brilliant, well done, you've done this is great, this is why, you know, a toddler takes their first step and falls over, parents aren't going, what, you fell over on your second step, what? But it's loads of encouragement, well done, then it was 2 steps, fantastic. And psychologically, human beings don't change lots as we get older. We get more sophisticated, but actually we still thrive on encouragement, on a sense of, here's what you did, great, let's stretch again. There's still some things to get better at, great, let's go for that, but celebrate victories along the way.
Brilliant, Nick. Thank you so much. I think we're pretty much at time there. So I just want to open it up for any more questions. You've had a few comments. Were there any questions that anybody watching online, Alison or Tanya, especially, I can see Yanga, any questions anyone's got while we've got Nick here? So Nick's a real expert. It's your chance to ask questions. Now, I know there's a little bit of delay on here, so it might be 20 seconds till you've heard this. So we'll keep going. But thank you so much. Is there anything else you wanted to add, or what I like to ask people, we're guests on, is what's the bit of advice that you give other people that you personally find hard to take yourself?
That
is put you on the spot.
A great question. For a long time, it was the progress and victories one, and I think probably been doing that really consistently for about the last 18 months. Having talked about it, been part of what I've been teaching and showing people for 10 years. So it would have been that one. I think the other bit is the remembering to review my goals regularly so that they're uppermost in my mind. So there's what I've learned is that I can have a goal and it can be really meaningful and I can be really excited about it, but I can then forget about it completely. It just in the life getting on. And so the thing I have to remind myself is I've got to look at this every day. I've got to have these, again, as part of that infrastructure thing. And that's the bit that, you know, I have to say, Nick, come on, get back to, you've just told 6 other people about this today. You haven't done this. Go, just spend 5 minutes just to review. This is what I'm trying to achieve in my work this week. This is my primary goal health-wise at the moment. This is my most important relationship goal, for example. Brilliant.
Great. Okay, any good apps for capturing goals? Alison asks. I presume you mean sort of setting them.
Sure. Sorry, yeah. The simplest thing is I like to use Evernote and have just a simple list of my most important goals, and then the main goal, that stretch goal for this week. I do like Strides, which is STRIDES, is a good app for capturing some goals, if it's a measurement. And again, the idea, you've got to be able to measure stuff.
Is that an app, or is that like an iPhone app?
It is an iPhone app, yes. There is a good one that I know is on iPhone and Android. Habitify is a decent one, and you can track 3 goals on the free version, and then you can pay for more. But I quite liked when I used that. I'm not currently, but I liked it because just having 3 was really good, because then you're just focused on that. Strides, you've got that in there. Most of what I do.
One I've suggested is Coach. I think it's called Coach.app, and that's the one I've suggested on here for habits. The reason is it can be social, so you can follow other people's habits, and so you could follow a habit together. And on the fitness stuff, I would recommend if you have Fitbit, or if everybody's got Apple Watch, or everybody's got Fitbit or something like that. Again, you can follow other people, or you can follow other people on Strava or other apps. So again, you can set yourself little challenges, or who did the most steps this week. It's usually people who commute into London. It's really hard to beat them because they're just constantly walking everywhere. Like, oh my God, how on earth have they done like 120,000 steps this week? So that I found quite and the nice thing about that is it adds that little bit of competition as well, or at least accountability, because other people can see whether you've done it or not. Yeah.
There's a great app called Stick, and it's STICKK. So STICKK, and it's come out of research from, I think it's Yale University, and also they talk about a lot in the behavioural. It's the Behavioural Institute that the British government set up in about 2010, and again, based on the research about what causes people to change, and on that app, when you set a goal, you choose a goals referee. You can have people support you in the goal, but you also choose a penalty if you don't achieve the goal.
Yeah, I love it.
And what they say is that you should, so for example, donate £10 to an organisation that you really dislike. You hate their values, you think they're an awful organisation, but if you don't achieve your goal, then £10 goes out, and you put your card details into the app. £10 goes to this organisation. So you're like, I really don't want that to happen. And psychologically, they've discovered that's the best way to help people achieve stuff. So I joke with my kids, if you don't have this done, then you give £5 of your pocket money to your sister. I'm definitely going to do it now.
I love that. Yeah.
But it's really grasping this idea of where these apps help is you've got to put the effort into build an infrastructure that helps you achieve, rather than just go, just because I decided it was important, I'll do it. Human beings don't. We have to really grapple with ourselves to get to do the things that we want to do.
So we've helped Tanya's daughter out, because Tanya's saying all the talk of iPhones. Amy keeps telling me, see, I need an iPhone. Yeah, absolutely. Just twist it. You can get secondhand ones. You can also, Tanya, of course, get a Google phone, which is much cheaper. Sorry, Amy. But and a lot of these apps will also be on Google. Sorry, we keep mentioning iPhone. Apologies. It's just we use iPhone, and Google. Many of these things are available on Google as well.
Interesting on the goals. Can I say one other thing on goals? Just iPhone.
Yeah, go for it.
It's a great goal, and it could be one that again, a lot of people using phones, was to get my screen time, make sure it was below an hour a day, and therefore picking up a tablet. So a cheap 7-inch tablet or 8-inch tablet I've got. That was a great goal because it could measure it, had the infrastructure, but it meant that I did all of my reading stuff on a bigger screen, which was good as well. So I'm just putting the plug for not phones.
Yeah, I mean, oh my goodness, I think the idea about spending less time on the phone, I am a bit addicted as well, because with this I've been it's terrible really, because September already goes on Facebook. Every time it goes, I've turned the pings off, but every time I go on, there's loads of updates because people have been liking stuff. And I'm like, what have they been doing? You get that little dopamine hit of people have been doing stuff, and that's there. That's hard for me at the moment. Nick, that's been brilliant. Some really good ideas there. So I like the idea of giving. We have a panicked face here at the hour of one. I mentioned 1 hour screen time. It's like it's your goal. You don't have to set Nick's goals. You know, don't worry.
Yeah.
And it's a gradual thing. But yeah. So hopefully that's food for thought. Definitely have a look at that habits section as well, because I describe how, like Nick said, how to set yourself up before you even start to attempt a new goal or a habit. How do you set things up so that you are primed for success? Then there's a few, we've already talked about some of them. There's a few things you can do that just make it really, really easy. And actually, you know, if you say, oh, I could never do X, the reason you feel like that is because you're up here, you're just starting. But actually, if it's a habit, you can easily get to the stage where it's really not that difficult at all, because you've been down that habit curve that we talk about in that session. So, Nick, thank you so much. It's been really helpful. It's been inspiring for me. You've reminded me of lots of stuff we've talked about in the past. So there's a few things that I'm going to go and have a go at. I love that stick idea, so I'll have a look at that. I hope you found that helpful. Do comment below, or any other comments you've got or questions. If you're watching this on the replay, do type the hashtag replay. Let us know you've seen it and let us know what you thought. So thanks again, Nick, and I shall catch up with you soon.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers. Bye.